Life is Strange devs workers are going on strike over impending layoffs. Don't Nod workers are due to strike this Friday after the studio announced its redundancy plan last month. Workers of the French gaming studio Don't Nod, the developers um, behind Jusant, Life is Strange, and 1 and 2, and upcoming release Lost Records, Bloom and Rage, are set to strike this week due to imminent layoffs. The Les Syndicats des Travailleurs et Video Game Workers Union announced that the picket line will be next to the studio's headquarters in Paris. Last week, the union called for a strike due to the 69 jobs at the studio that are at risk. Don't Nod CEO Oscar Grulbert explained that a new initiative was designed for a reorganization project to ensure the company's long-term future and deteriorating financial results. Our half-year result for 2024 reflect the economic underperformance of our latest release, despite solid ratings on Metacritic, as well as the accounting impact of the decisions we had to take. The initial performance support measures announced last spring no longer seem efficient to maintain the company's competitiveness, Gilbert said in a statement. As a result, today we presented a reorganization project to the employee representative bodies, which could set Don't Nod on a new development trajectory, he added. I am fully conscious of the impact this project may have on all our employees. Securing our company's resources and restoring its ability to perform more in an increasingly competitive and selective industry is extremely necessary. STIV pointed out its demands and countered the statement with why the workers are striking and how it can be called off. We demand that management immediately give up on this irresponsible and unfair layoffs plan. We demand that the studio's workers, who are the most competent people, have an actual say in all decision making. We demand the presence of Oscar Gulbert in the negotiations and that he takes full responsibility as CEO, it read. This layoff plan is violent, and will not save our company. We therefore call on our colleagues to continue their mobilization with a 1-day strike on Friday, November 8th. Despite having to pause production of two future releases due to lackluster sales of both um, Jusant and Banishers, Ghost of New Eden, Don't Nod still has high hopes on for Lost Records, Bloom and Rage out in February. So let me see the comments. There's just a couple. Calculator Ramza goes, headlines get kind of weird when your most well known game started a series that you haven't made either of the two most recent entries of. And Carpet Rough goes, striking over possible redundancy is like saying you want to be one of those let go. So, what do you think about the studio responsible for like Life is Strange and other games which I really hadn't heard of, uh, basically going on strike?
Now, is that I'm surprised supposed to do that right this second though, because I don't know the whole detail of the strike, in its entirety. But let's just say that Life is Strange Double Exposure is coming out sometime this year, or is already released by
It came
now.
out on Halloween.
Okay, that's good. Just want to make sure. So it's only been 2 weeks now, over 2 weeks just about after it released, and now they're asking for a strike. I mean, the workers said this, of course, and well, I mean, as long as they get paid, which I'm assuming they're not getting paid yet, but the sales still keep coming in for Double Exposure. So it's I don't know the exact numbers how much been sold, but it appealed towards more female gamers because they did a commercial towards female gamers of Life is Strange Double Exposure.
Yeah, they
So
didn't they didn't mention double exposure though, so I don't know if True Colors and Double Exposure had a different development team because they just mentioned Life is Strange 1 and 2.
okay. Yeah,
Um,
so because
but
obviously
like I
Life is
said, the
Strange.
the
Yeah,
other games like Jusant and Rage and Bloom, I never heard of these series.
yeah, same here. It's something new to me altogether just now, and yeah, it's I mean, yes, they lost money through. I'm sure certain through, especially these newest games, but the remaster should have been a good sale right there. That's the most gamers, especially the female gamers. So it's not that many female gamers at one point years back when the first Life is Strange came out, but in recent memory, now it's like million not I guess you call them millions of female gamers now are in the gaming community more than ever. So that's more power to the gaming community. I don't mind female gamers, playing like Life is Strange or Call of Duty, Gears of War, especially Gears of War 5 with Kate as the main protagonist. Like I said with Gears of War, this it misses steps somewhat, but other than that, this Life is Strange series, as long as they keep being creative and keep selling good, decent copies, there shouldn't be a problem for them to be on strike anytime soon. But at this rate, it seems the case that either the workers are too greedy, or the companies themselves are being too greedy themselves. And we see all these strikes happening throughout the year now, from the longshoreman strike going about the eastern United States as well as the Gulf of Mexico, where we trade between nations for the last how many years now, since the pandemic especially. So it was coming similar to these strikes from 4 years ago after the pandemic, because whatever happened during the pandemic, it's affecting everyone now, from small as us, you and I, gamers trying to buy certain games that are expensive, to as big as companies that try to save money through, laying off people, and then these workers had it. I can't blame them. These workers, So
Yeah. First off, to the people watching, if you want to send your hate mail about what Dr. Games 101 said about claiming females play mostly Life is Strange, you can send your hate mail to Dr. Games 101, care of the Let's Discuss Gaming podcast, PO Box 345. Um,
no, but seriously, they actually did a commercial too on YouTube. Like, you watch YouTube and see their advertisements, you see this nice, cute girl that gotta be old and like 21, whatever, sitting down or playing this double exposure game, and she was crying, she was laughing, she was smiling. They appeal towards that kind of gamer. So.
that's Dr. Games 101, care of the Let's Discuss Gaming podcast, PO Box 345.
Hey, it's not my fault they made that commercial. That's like gamers, It's not,
Well,
it's
you're
not my
forgetting.
fault.
I played Life is Strange 1. I played Life is Strange True Colors. I played Before the Storm. All those games I played to completion.
But they're trying to advertise more towards the or that kind of audience now more than ever. That's a good thing.
Dr.
But
Games 101. I do need to remind people Dr. Games 101 really likes Tomb Raider, although that's a female lead role in Tomb Raider. So
you know what I mean. Come on now, James. You watch YouTube like as much as me, if not more than me.
your hole is 3 feet deep. Keep digging.
Hey, it's not my fault if you're 2024, not year 1995, and I'm still stuck. Or supposed to speaking, my God, I mean, it's not my fault. It's not my fault. The makers want to advertise the female gamers. That's up to them. That's fine. I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm okay.
Uh, yeah. So anyway, in all seriousness, um, yeah, I mean, I understand the workers. This really seems not to just be a. I rag on Phil Spencer a lot for this, especially when he said that he knew he was going to have to let people go after the acquisition, um, but of the Activision Blizzard merger. He said he knew he was going to let people go with all the billions he spent, or tens of billions he spent on that acquisition. And it just seems like more people are doing that. And it's like, if you don't have the money, maybe you should have. Why are you putting yourself in a situation where you're going to have to lay off people?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not. The formula to make a good game has not changed. Look at Life is Strange. It's like what, a 10-hour game. Um, each entry before the storm might actually be shorter because they only got 3 chapters instead of 5, and then they got the bonus chapter if you count that,
Yeah.
which wasn't part of the main story. Well, you found out what happened to Chloe and Max the last time they met before Max moved away, and then Life is Strange. The first one is when Max came back 5 years later or so.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, you could. I mean, so while the bonus chapter had nothing to do with Chloe and Rachel's relationship, it showed you what happened to Chloe and Max. But I mean, you know, I, what the formula to make a game has not changed. I mean, and I hate this thing about cost. No, it cost. I mean, if you're spending more than your budget to make these games, that's not the developer's fault. That's not the that's not the worker's fault. That's not the gamer's fault. That's your fault. You were able to make these games for a good price, and it's not like, as much as I like Life is Strange and Life is Strange Before the Storm and True Colors, you're you were able to, it's not like these games graphics were knocking socks off. It's not like the games uh it's not like the game sound was 4K sound. No, these were simple to play games. So it's not, and they were not graphical or audio masterpieces. They worked, they functioned like a game should, but I wouldn't really be surprised if, like, any of the Life is Strange games won an award based on its graphics or voice acting. The voice acting was good, it was believable, but at the same time, you know, if you spent too much money to make that game, maybe you should have cut costs somewhere and been more efficient in your spending.
Oh yeah.
So, but yeah, the CEO should definitely be there for these negotiations because he's the one making decisions. So he should be there and have to face the employees that he eventually wants to lay off. Um, and
Yeah,
I
they
do,
had
I
it.
and I agree. These workers, they should have some kind of protection. If they're going to be laid off, they should have some kind of protection to help them get back on their feet or get a new job. Just because of this, whenever you hear this kind of plan, uh, I don't know if I X'd out the article or not. Yeah, I did. But when they talk like reshaping plan or anything like that, it's bad news.
Oh yeah.
Because so yeah, I definitely agree with the development team.
And they had it, these recent workers, after how many years? Not years, but a couple of years now, layoffs from Microsoft and Blizzard and Activision and other game companies we mentioned over this podcast for the last year or so. It's someone has to stand their own ground and stop this stuff. Look, I understand that business people have to make decisions and save money as well as make money as the ultimate end game of all. That's what the business is about, to make money. But all this unsteadiness work for these us gamers or anyone who wants to join gaming companies to make a living, it's not worth it anymore these days. Maybe 15 years ago, where there's more like more security and long-term employment for these companies like that have Naughty Dog or perhaps Telltale Games at the time of its beginning inception back in 2009, 2010, whatever, and at the time. But now it's like you can't keep a job no longer than a year or 2 years, depending upon what kind of work you're doing.
Yeah,
And also, it's like when we were working a lot back in the day, in the 2010s, late 2000s, right? Triple J, like it's like it was all going from job to job, place to place, some cases, and it's like it
not
wasn't
not
steady.
not not for me. The job I worked in 2010. Well, I left one job in 2010, but I'd been there since 2008, and it was my choice to leave.
Okay.
A deli job did not work out, but then I found a job in May of 2010, and I worked there till October of 2014.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry about that. But you are different experiences from others, including myself. Oh yeah, it's just a wild ride at one point. Now it's like I have my own business, we have our own respective businesses or types of businesses, and it's hard out there. Like it's very hard these days, and just 2008 crisis especially. And I know we should talk about economics in this layoffs of Life is Strange and all that development team and all, but it is related from that minuscule or that trivial, in a sense, in my
Right,
perspective. So
right. Anything else to add, or ready to move on?
we can move on.
Okay. One more reminder: send your hate mail to DrGames101, care of the Let's Discuss Gaming podcast, PO Box 345.
Thanks. I'll accept that paper as much as possible.